Leading a team sounds empowering until someone on your team isn't performing. And then you're left questioning, is it me? Is it my leadership skills? Was I not clear enough? Am I micromanaging? Are my expectations too much? I've been there, and I'm here to show you today on how I manage those situations. Hi, I'm Fizah Pasha, an emotional mastery and confidence coach and the founder of Brule Beauty. I'm here to talk about when your employees just aren't performing and how to deal with it, or how I've dealt with it in the past, which has honestly helped me tremendously. I used to be that person that wouldn't want to step on anyone's toes. And if, a team member wasn't performing, I would be like, oh, I don't want to say anything in case I offend them, in case I ruin their relationship that I have with them. And I started realizing that I'm abandoning myself, because I would avoid having these hard conversations about their performance, because every time I thought about it, I would feel like this tightness in my chest, or I'd start questioning myself. I'd be like, hey, am I expecting too much? Did I not give clear instructions? Am I not a good leader? And I would keep bringing it on myself. But eventually I realized that sometimes someone's performance is a mirror of who they are and their patterns that are repeating for them, not a reflection of who you are and how you've conducted yourself. So, I had an instance when someone wasn't performing on my team, and I sat down with myself and I said to myself, okay, where is it that I am lacking as a leader, right? So I made like a list of clear expectations, and I also, I made a clear tracker of performance, right? And timelines and goals and all of that, so that I can come to a conversation being very clear on what I expect, right? And, what I am paying this employee for. So I went into that conversation and, I laid out the goals, the expectations, and, the list that I had made for the things that I wanted from them, right? And the timelines. And then I heard them out and their experience, and brought their experience into the situation as well. Because you know what? You need to lead with empathy. But empathy doesn't mean that there has to be a lack of structure. It just means that you can take into account the other person's point of view. So I had my sort of list of things that were non negotiables for this working relationship to keep going forward. And I wanted their input on how they would perform and what would help them perform, and what I could do to help them show up better for work. And once we had that conversation, the relationship honestly became so much better, because they started showing up more, they started fulfilling the deadlines, the goals that we had set together, we started fulfilling them. But then after a few months, they fell back on their performance. And at that point, I realized this is just a pattern that keeps repeating for themselves, because unconsciously we all feel like we're not good enough. And so I felt like not a good enough leader, and I was like, you know what, I am not going to take the blame of this. I'm not going to, I took the responsibility of, putting deadlines and goals and taking their point of view into account and showing them empathy. But at this point, their performance keeps dipping, and this has now become a pattern. And I had to lovingly let go of them, because at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for your business. And if an employee is, repeating the same pattern over and over again, then that cannot be on you. So as a leader, it's really important to show up for your employees and, lead with empathy and lead with compassion for what they're going through. But also, it's very important to empower yourself and, set certain standards for yourself and your business, and and expect people to show up according to those standards when you've taken them and their point of view into account as well. So if you're dealing with something like that and you'd like to talk to me about it, please drop me a DM at Fizah Pasha on Instagram, and I'd love to speak to you about it and share with my own experiences how I've dealt with employees in the past.